decided to come downtown for some reason. It's Friday night. Meeting up with a friend down here in a little while. But I don't know, it's always interesting to run around here and see some of the interesting characters and whatnot in the party district. Not today, you greasy mechanical thief. Apparently there's some sort of app you can download now to pay the parking meter. Luckily, I'm exempt. They're setting up Saturday market for tomorrow. More evil scooters. Bad. Don't mind me, just crossing the streets. So I think the plan is to just wander around down here and see what there is to notice. I am, however, realizing now I probably should have brought some lights or something. It's dark, crossing streets and stuff. Don't worry, the curb cutout's all the way over here. Dude, you got that coat on hospital robe style. It's all open in the back. Swag style, yeah, sorry. Watch out for all the Ubers, they'll hit you.
Swag style at my work.
So my friend just got a new service dog that he's training up, and oh my goodness, that thing is such a magnet. People literally run from across the street and they're like, oh, it's a cute puppy. It's absolutely insane the amount of attention that dog brings. I mean, it's like 5 months old, so it's like super cute, German Shepherd, you know, but it's absolutely unbelievable. Got a few things on the agenda for today. First off, I'm gonna go look at a place that supposedly has a warm water therapy pool that's open to the public and maybe a hot tub. I don't know. Not having access to a hot tub is kind of annoying right now. So we're gonna see if we can figure that out. And then also, probably gonna hit a few Goodwills and try to get some more shirts and stuff. I don't know, with the move and everything, there are a lot of them are in storage and some of the stuff's worn out, so might as well get some new ones. In a fair bit of pain today, though, so gonna try and take it easy.
Well, how are we supposed to park in the space then?
No, you're right about the handicap. You're 100% right.
So why can he do that, but I can't make a comment?
You can make a comment.
What's the difference? I'm mad about him not leaving the space open for people that need to use it.
What do you? He moved.
Real quick thing here before we continue. This next part, I actually was thinking about completely cutting out altogether, just because there's so much drama and energy around disabled parking and whatnot. And I don't know, I mean, people are gonna say whatever they say. I mean, everyone always has their opinions on what they would have done differently in a situation, but I'm gonna leave it in just because I know you guys have dealt with stuff like this. And to people on the outside, this seems a little bit ludicrous, and it's like, why are you wasting your time? Why do you care? But I just wanted to say, this is one of those things that I'm leaving in. Take it or leave it. If you want to skip it, it's about 4.5 minutes long, and there's a time code that you can skip to. But basically, I just have a slight confrontation with someone over a disabled parking space, and then I discuss what's going on. If I seem to be laughing, it's because the guy's attitude is so surprising. It's just absolutely astounding to me how people behave. Anyways, here we go. Okay, well, actually, I probably shouldn't film right here. Hang on. Had a slight change of plans. I was headed over to this place that has a hot tub and a warm water pool. I pulled into the place, and there's 3 disabled spots that are open and available to use, except for the fact that someone has parked their truck across 2.5 of them. Now, I drove around the property a little bit. There was no other disabled places to park in. So I surmised that if I got really close to the edge of the spot, I'd be able to deploy my ramp and this truck wouldn't be in the way. So I pull up and kind of back up and then get, perfectly positioned in there so there's room for my ramp and stuff. I deploy the ramp and some dude comes running up and hops in the truck, and I'm thinking, oh, cool, he's gonna move it. He sees someone in a wheelchair van putting out their ramp and, maybe I shouldn't be parking here. He gets in his truck and fires it up, moves it 2 feet. He just backs up a tiny bit and then gets out. And I'm just like, what are we doing here? I wasn't gonna say anything about the guy parked in the space. I mean, I could get out, no big deal, whatever. But the guy moves the truck 2 feet, he hops out, he walks past, and he's like, there you go. Or you could move the thing completely out of this area altogether so that people can use these spaces. His response, yeah, I could, but I'm not going to, and keeps walking. That's a strange attitude. I don't get that. Now, this is where I should probably just not say anything and move on. But occasionally I just have to say something. As the guy is walking away with this like super odd attitude, I'm just like, well, F the disabled then, I guess. And he's like, excuse me? You're parked in these spaces and you don't seem to care. He's like, I moved my truck and you can get out. Like, what's the big deal? This is a place where everyone needs to use all these spaces. I don't know if you noticed, but there's been people circling around here trying to find these spaces. What's the problem? You managed to get out. And I'm like, okay. He's like, and I don't really like your language. I was gonna let it go at that point. Let's go ahead and back up here for just a second. You just got out of your truck and someone in a wheelchair asked you to move it so that the disabled spaces would be available. And you said, yeah, no, not gonna do it. And then suddenly you're gonna take the high ground and say, oh, I don't appreciate your language. I don't appreciate your blatant disregard for everyone who needs to go about their day and park their vans here and get out of their vehicles. Like, what are we doing? It leads me to the concept of how society seems to be shifting. I don't know if it's just around Portland or it's other places, but this whole you're not the boss of me attitude, I don't understand it. What's the benefit when you're in your vehicle, you've got it in gear and you're moving it? Why would you stop after moving 2 feet? Why wouldn't you just move another 20 feet to where there's tons of space? A lot of it happened sort of near the entrance to this facility, and I don't know if the people inside were watching or whatever, but I'm gonna let that cool off for a few days. I'm gonna let these people finish their work, and then I'm gonna come back to this facility and check it out. So that was the change of plans, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm a firm believer in people dictate how I treat them. Their actions are 100% to determine how I am going to behave towards them. I'm not trying to get a rise out of this person as much as get their attention. Now, obviously, language, whatever, but I'm just explaining this situation and kind of the things that are becoming more common nowadays. All right, just went to a Goodwill. It was exceedingly crowded in there. So we're gonna go hit another type of thrift store, the Salvation Army. They usually seem to be, I don't know, different. I almost forgot, we have a stereo now. Well, we have arrived at the Salvation Army store. They've kind of stepped up their game in the last few years. They have much larger retail spaces, and they actually wash all their clothing before they put it out for sale, unlike other places that rhyme with Goodwill. Well, that was actually a pretty successful trip. Got a couple of huge bags full of shirts back there. And kind of a strange thing. I got my debit card replaced finally, but apparently the new one has like this probationary period where they have a spending limit. So the guy rung me up, and then I went to use my card and it wouldn't work. I opened the app and looked at it, and it said I had a certain spending limit for the day. So I had to take a bunch of stuff back off. Well, he wound up just giving me the stuff for free. So that was pretty cool. Never know when you're gonna run across someone who's willing to do something nice like that. Oh boy, did we get some stuff. I think I've decided that Salvation Army is a lot better than Goodwill. I got a bunch of cool stuff, including the electric fly swatter. This was $4. It's missing the battery door, but it only takes 2 AA's to operate, and that's why God gave us duct tape. They sell these at Harbor Freight on sale sometimes for like $3 or $4, but you never have no idea when they're actually going to go on sale. And here, this will be handy for the flies. I thought all the flies had disappeared, but apparently they have come back. And then we got these things. These are bedpost lifts, actually for this table or workbench or whatever it is. When I had this thing on the apartment previously, I had some of these underneath the legs to bring it up to an appropriate height. Because if you look right now, can't exactly get under there. So these are a 5-inch lift, which brings it up just enough so that I can slide right on in. And then got a whole bunch of shirts. And I also got, these are Streamlights. These are the NiCad rechargeable ones. They don't have the charger with them, but the batteries in these are fairly recent. They are Interstate Batteries remanufactured ones. 3.6 volts, 1500 milliamp hours. That's actually pretty good for NiCads. I guess there's 3 cells in there, but I'll be able to charge these with the power supply. But I think eBay or Amazon should be a good place to get a charger. These are the ones with the button on the tail cap here. Some of my favorite lights right here. They're not LED, but they are bright. And then a whole bunch of shirts. I'm not gonna go through them all, except for this one. All this stuff has been freshly washed, although I should probably do it again. Yeah, they use some sort of like highly scented laundry detergent there. Like I was saying, Salvation Army launders all their clothing before they put it out. Goodwill, on the other hand, if something's dirty, they just throw it away. Or send it through the bin store, or the outlet stores. But yeah, Salvation Army, I mean, they still wind up being cheaper than the Goodwill stores. But at least you're getting something that's been washed and not as full of spiders. Now, some of this stuff, I didn't try any of it on before I bought it. Just because I was thinking, you know, some of these things are like $10 or $12 each. But I was thinking I would just buy the stuff, and then if it doesn't fit, I'd return it. But after the guy gave me a bunch of stuff for free, I'm not gonna worry about it. So go ahead and pull all the tags off this stuff and throw it in the old launderator here. And should be ready to wear in about 45, 50, I don't know. However many minutes it takes to wash and dry. A couple hours. Oh, this is a good one here. I'm kind of a big deal. Now that we've got the laundry started, I'm gonna see if I can use forklift mode on this chair to install those risers under this little table / workbench out here. There is a TV on this, so that might make things a little bit more tricky. Let's see if we can do this here though. All right, the concept here is pretty simple. What I'm gonna do is get this box of these things. And then I'm going to use the tilt function on my chair and get my knees sort of under the table here. Carefully. All right, there we go. And then I'm going to simply tilt the chair backwards, and in theory, that should lift up this side. There we go. Hopefully not too far, so all this stuff doesn't go sliding off of here. We just tilt the thing back a little ways. All right, that looks like enough. Now we use our grabber stick here and position our little risers. Okay. Uh-oh, my tire's in the way. Let's see if I can shift my position here a little bit. All right, there we go. And now we lower the chair back down. There we go. And we have a table that is severely tilted. But we've got the risers under this side, so I'm just gonna do the same thing over here now and we should be good. There we go. Just like some sort of weird magic. A little bit more. Okay. All right, there we go. Tilt that down. All right. There we go. Now we have a table that's tall enough to get up underneath. Yeah, look at that. Perfect. Now, I did notice after doing that, my tilt actuator makes a weird sound. Okay, so we got a weird sound going on now. I'm gonna have to track that down and see what's going on. Probably not the best thing to do for your chair, to lift a table and a TV with it, but I mean, I did it, and I didn't need any help. Let's see what's going on down in here. Still have a little bit of a weird noise. The sound is coming from this little transfer box right here. It only does it for a split second when you start moving the tilt. I'm gonna go ahead and say though, it's probably not a good idea to do that because when you put a lot of load on these things, sometimes parts get cranky. I mean, I don't think anything's broken in here, but when I put my finger on here, I can definitely feel the vibration. And I don't know if this thing has poly gears or what exactly is going on, but yeah, so if you're gonna do something like that, get a junky chair like this steampunk one that you don't really care about. Normally that's what I use for that sort of project, but for some reason I got lazy and didn't want to get out of this chair. Yeah, so it's not broken, but it makes a noise now that it didn't make before, so. Oh boy. Once again, I do things sometimes that are not recommended. I have probably 4 replacement actuators for this chair, so if I did somehow screw that thing up, I have more motors. I'm gonna hop into the other chair and finish screwing around now because I don't want to trash this one anymore. Moment of truth. Let's see if this electric fly swatter actually works. I got a couple AA batteries here. Put these in. There we go. There's a little red light on the front. Ooh, it turns on. So the easiest way to test this is to probably just short it out. I've got this electrically insulated screwdriver here. So let's go ahead and push the button and see what it does. That's significant. All right, now we need some flies. Actually, first though, I probably need to make a battery door for this. I'll figure out something. So, just kind of had an interesting phone call. Earlier when I had that little scuffle with a guy that was blocking the disabled parking with his truck, I went ahead and took down the phone number off of his door and called the company, and their personnel manager just called me back. When I called them though, I pretended to be a third party that was just observing the situation. I don't know, consider that lying or whatever, but I just felt like maybe an outside perspective from them might help them. I was just basically like, look, I think someone needs to tap this guy on the shoulder and be like, hey, let's chill out. You know, I think the attitude is kind of what caused the problem. But this guy, who is his boss, he said, yeah, it seems like a lot of time those people have those people being people in wheelchairs, because I was acting like I was just watching the situation. It seems like those people kind of have a chip on their shoulder about things, you know, and I don't know. I mean, I understand their life is rough and stuff, but I don't know. So, yeah, I don't know. This whole situation, maybe, I don't know if it furthers the cause or makes it worse. I mean, I don't want to run around and do things that are going to make problems for other people later on, but he did agree with me that the guy's flippant attitude was probably somewhat to blame. So I don't know. It's just kind of interesting hearing from the outside that someone says, oh yeah, those people kind of have a chip on their shoulder. So anyways, there's that. Yeah. I've been kind of organizing in here a little bit. I got the desk up here on these little risers. The other chair, actually, yeah, let's check on this other chair and see how the tilt actuator is doing. Yeah, maybe be careful with these chairs and don't use them as a forklift, unless you have spare parts laying around, or use one like this chair that I'm sitting in now. That's sort of designed to be a utility chair for that type of thing. Yeah, anyhow. Oh, let me go check on the laundry. I think my shirts might be done. Back to the old C500 here. So I think I've determined what's going on. There's a little gearbox of sorts right here that converts this spinning motor into the drive for that all-thread rod. And our sound seems to be coming from in here. So I don't know if this has pulley or Delron gears or what exactly is going on. I've gotten a lot of the bolts loose, and I can kind of make the squeak sound when I turn it, so it tells me it's coming from in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish taking this apart and see what we can figure out in here. See what we damaged exactly. We've gotten the thing kind of out of here. I can't completely disassemble it because it'll screw up the tracking. These actuators have awareness or indexing as to where they actually are. So I'm gonna see if I can get some silicone lube down inside here and see if we can quiet this down. I've determined that this gearbox is damaged. When we tried to lift that table with the TV and everything on top of it, it overloaded this thing and screwed up the gears that are in there. It still works, but it makes a ton of noise. So what I'm gonna do is next time I'm at storage, I'm gonna grab another one of these assemblies. I have a few of them laying around. And until then, I'll just have to put up with the squealing that it's making. But I'm gonna go ahead and put the thing back together now. And we'll just roll with that, I guess. By the way, I was using this shop vac extension to hold up the seating during the repair. Or rather during the investigatory teardown. Okay, I'm sitting back in the C500 now. Got it all put back together. Headed to the pharmacy to pick up some drugs. And this is the only chair I have right now that has an easy lock on it. So I had to put it back together. Although I think now, I think we're actually good. I can tilt the thing and we're not getting any noise. Typically I've found with metal on metal gearboxes, especially ones that are driving all thread rods or rotational shafts, sometimes when they get overloaded, the gears kind of get a little burr on them or a little bit of an edge. And if you can unload all the weight off of them, get a little bit of grease in there, and then run them back and forth with no load on them at all, the gears will kind of reseat a little bit, or the edges of the... I'm trying to figure out how to explain it. It basically fixes it. You take it apart, put it back together, run it a little bit with no weight on there, and usually you can kind of make it work. Now, it's probably not a permanent repair. I'm fully expecting at some point that it's going to start squealing again. So I'm going to have one of these on hand for when that happens. But then again, we might be good. So anyways, to the pharmacy. I didn't really film any of it, but I had a little incident with the radiator on this thing the other day. When I flushed the coolant out about a week ago, there's some O-rings in the drain on the radiator, and you can only open and close it about 2 or 3 times before those O-rings completely shred. And it was dripping a little bit, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I took the thing apart, and then I realized, oh hey, half of this O-ring is missing. So I went and bought a bunch of assorted O-ring kits, and I think now we're good. Checked the coolant a little bit ago. Oh man, I can smell it. There's a lettuce wrap in there from yesterday. I meant to eat that last night. Goodbye, lettuce wraps. Ugh. Oh well, that's a waste. Mayonnaise doesn't do too well when it's sitting overnight. But anyways, yeah, our coolant's still good to go. So I think we're good for a little while longer. Never know on this van. There seems to be an attempt at artwork right outside my window. Weird. They've apparently done a remodel here, and they have a bathroom that is now actually accessible, and it has plenty of space. It's one of those old buildings that they never really updated until recently. All right, I escaped traffic very narrowly today, and I've stopped at a gas station to get some deviled eggs. Should be a good lunch, right?